Welcome to Wellbeing Unwrapped, the show where real talk leads to real transformation.
I'm Jamie McKagan, fitness trainer and life coach.
And I'm Tracy Carroll, a self-esteem and mindset coach. And on today's episode, we're going to be unwrapping how to find joy in movement. Welcome to Wellbeing Unwrapped.
I'm Jamie.
And I'm Tracy, and this is our first ever video podcast. Please be kind.
It is Tracy, so thank you very much for tuning in to The Joy of Movement. This is our first ever, as Tracy said, video podcast, so a few things may go wrong, but we'll fix them. Gang, a few questions to lead into the episode, as I always do, and I'm going to refer to my notes. Do you view exercise as a joyful activity or a tedious obligation? Have you ever wondered why some people thrive on daily workouts and others struggle to get started? Which one are you? And did you know that nearly 25% of UK adults find exercise a chore and don't enjoy it? But wait, because the benefits of exercise, it can improve mental health, reduce stress, and even help people recover from trauma. That said, why do so many people struggle to find joy in movement? And in today's episode, we are going to explore the benefits of movement, the excuses we have to not move, and the real reasons we have to not move, and give you some actionable tips to get you moving. Tracy, how does that sound to you?
Yeah, it sounds amazing because I recognise myself in there a little bit. And I think there are so many people out there who are going to tune into this because that's where they are. They're in the, most people know that it's good for us. They may not know the plethora of benefits, but they know that it's good for us. They know it's something that we should all be doing. But so many things get in the way. So stay tuned, listeners and viewers, because we have some really great tips that are going to help you and me to find the joy in movement. So,
get on moving.
Yeah.
For those of you tuning in for the first time, Tracy is a self-esteem and mindset coach, aren't you, Tracy?
I am indeed.
And I am a fitness trainer and life coach. So we are well versed in helping you to get moving today.
You're in good hands.
So Tracy, there's so many benefits to moving. Everybody knows we have an aging population.
Yeah.
And we have a population where weight gain is, it always sounds like a little pun when I say this, is increasing. I don't mean it to be. Weight gain is getting bigger.
Yeah, exactly. It's a growing problem.
It's a growing, everything we say
you
sounds
just can't
wrong.
help it, can you?
In terms of an aging population, again, most people will know that if you can keep your muscles strong, if you can keep your joints mobile, you really help yourself preventing trip risks and falls.
Yeah.
And we also know that when anyone, but especially elderly people, fall and are hospitalised as a result of that fall, often they never come out the same as prior to that fall. So they come out of hospital frailer. So exercising, keeping strong and mobile can really help as we age in terms of those trip and fall risks. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
And then secondly, in terms of the population and the weight gain, obviously engaging in movements can help with weight management and also reverse your weight gain back to a more manageable level.
Yeah.
And that's just two benefits that I think everyone will resonate with. We all know that, don't we? Those are the two big benefits. But shall we unpick it a little bit more?
I think we should.
And Tracy, shall we start with probably the best benefit, which is the psychological benefits? Because I know that you are as passionate about that as I am. And it can't be understated, can it?
No.
Do you want to give some, Tracy?
I will do, yeah. I am going to give you some amazing details. But do you know what? First, I just want to share a really amazing statistic that I have seen in the last week. Now I'm going to have to refer to my notes for the name, but a Harvard-trained physician, nutritionist, and longevity expert, Dr. John Scharfenberg, states for every hour you or I exercise, we or you will live an extra 3 hours more. Now I had to rewind it. And I had to rewatch it multiple times and go and look the guy up to make sure that it wasn't just one of these fake news things. But people, it's true. It's just incredible how beneficial exercises. And the good thing about that is it's not necessarily just talking about your physical body, because obviously, as we were talking about, as you age, it's not necessarily just your body that can give out on you, it's your mind as well. So this really, really does help. But moving on to some of the benefits: stress reduction, anxiety reduction, better sleep. There are so many benefits, all to do with lowering your cortisol, improving your DHEA levels. Everything is just, I can't, I can't even get my words out because it's so beneficial, and I have so much to say that I'm actually tripping over my words, Jamie. So over to you.
Well, we might have hundreds of years yet to trip over our words, because if what Dr. Scharfenberg says is true, well, we'll be living till 350.
No.
So we better plenty of time to nail the video on this podcast, is what I'd say. It's the feeling good, isn't it, when you move? And to clarify, movement can be anything. It doesn't have to be a structured exercise session where you go to your class and you start and you finish. It can be going for a walk. It can be dancing around your kitchen. It is moving.
And I think that's really important for everybody listening and watching to understand that it literally, this is a movement.
Yeah,
I can do that now because we're on video. It's a movement, and that's what's important.
Yeah.
So as Jamie said, you haven't got to be running a marathon. You haven't got to be bench pressing or doing squats or shuttle runs or anything. You could be squatting, putting the kettle on if you wanted to. Anything counts.
So a sustained period of movement, whether that's dancing around the kitchen, we release those those chemicals, those endorphins, and they are feel good, aren't they? They are feel good, the endorphins. They are produced in a response to movement, to exercise, and they reduce pain and they boost your mood. And this is why, and I know that Tracy and I have both experienced this together, Tracy, even, haven't we?
Yeah, we have indeed.
We have been doing a class, so structured classes. And you'll often find that people will say the first 10, 15, 20 minutes, Tracy, you will have heard multiple people say this in my classes, it's hard, right?
It's a hard slog getting yourself to start.
So if you split an hour-long class into thirds, it's the first third, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's struggle. Yeah. But you can almost time it when you get to that point, and we were all of a similar age, where the endorphins kick in, don't they?
Yeah.
And suddenly everything lifts, the mood lifts, everyone is moving easier, everything becomes easier, and there's a very definite change, isn't there, at that point?
Yeah.
That leads to the end of the session. What is the mood like at the end of the session? Well, Tracy, you tell me. It's completely different to the beginning.
Yeah, everyone's pumped up. They're just feeling so good, so happy. Potentially could go a little bit longer. And you know what, as you're talking, Jamie, I'm thinking about some of the classes that we've done together. And I'm thinking, this is going to sound really bad, but I think everyone's going to relate to this. You start the class and you're looking at the clock. I mean, I know, I don't know if I can do this. And you're looking at the clock, and then you hit that sweet spot where the endorphins hit, and you don't look at the clock again. And all of a sudden, when you do look at the clock, it's, as the instructor, in our case with Jamie, would be like, right, that's a wrap, or moving into stretches or something like that. So you knew that you were on the wind down, and you look at the clock and go, blimey, where did those 45 minutes go? Because you were just so involved in it, and you were just feeling so good. It's almost like, oh, it's over.
I'll have some more.
Yeah.
And
don't stop.
No. And if I had £1 for every time someone, and this is a really fulfilling part of doing the group fitness instructing, somebody messaged me after or stayed after class and said, I feel so much better now.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, because I was stressed, I was worried, I was anxious. And now I'm feeling so much better. And on a serious note, we know that exercise can reduce stress. It can make you feel calmer. You then make better decisions. You're then better able to handle your day. So quite apart from the physical benefits, it really does have far-reaching psychological benefits. And if you do that consistently, just imagine how much of a game changer that could be to your mood throughout a week if you were moving 3-4 times a week and getting that feeling.
Yeah.
So I think people focus on the physical benefits, which is right, but you shouldn't overlook the psychological benefits.
No.
And we're going to come on to this later, but it can also be really powerful to reconnect with your body in terms of recovering from trauma. And when we say trauma, I know we had a conversation, didn't we, before we started recording this, we're not saying that has to be, people sometimes will underplay what's happened to them and say, well, I haven't had an event that was a crime. So people often say, if it's not a crime, it couldn't be a trauma.
Yeah.
But actually, you could have a traumatic childbirth, right?
Yeah. There's so many
things,
different levels of trauma.
So many different.
I think society, and I know I've been there as well, as we were talking earlier.
Yeah.
Society kind of, the label trauma is attached to really big things.
Yes. Something that would be a headline.
Yes. Something, I don't know, somebody in the military, their experiences, or somebody who's been attacked or molested or anything like that. The word trauma, it just sounds really serious. And it's not that it's not serious, but it doesn't have to be horrific for your body to store it as a trauma.
Yes. And let's come on to that. So connecting with your body is really healing, isn't it? It can really help you heal from that trauma, and especially if the trauma has been physical, especially if it's been sexual abuse. You can feel really disconnected from your body, and just reconnecting with movement, whatever that might be, can really help you on the healing journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
So people might say, how is trauma stored in the body? Tracy, it is, isn't it?
It is, and there's actually a book that I've read, and I believe that you've read it too, Jamie.
Yes.
I'm not even going to attempt.
Shall I?
I said this in our previous episode.
We did. You're not going to attempt it.
But you've got it written down, Jamie.
I have got it written down, but you have to talk for a moment while I find his name.
Yeah, the book is called The Body Keeps Score, and it's all about how trauma can be literally stored in various different places in our body, and that can actually lead to different types of disease, because disease, when broken down, is a dis-ease in our body. So if you think about it, if you're storing trauma in a certain place, well, it's not how it's supposed to be. The balance isn't there, so it is at a dis-ease. Jamie, have we got the name?
Dr. Van de Kolk. K-O-L-K.
But yeah, I highly recommend reading it. It's fascinating, and yeah, I think it can change the way you look and the way that you are in life, make you a little bit more aware of getting out of your head and into your body, so that you can feel, because when you do get out of your head and into your body and focus your attention there, you can often feel tension or dis-ease, unease within you, which you can then use different modalities or exercise in this case to release that, which is only ever going to benefit you.
And I think it's really important. I want to talk to our viewers. I've now got
so exciting.
Viewers. Or just listeners, because of course we do still go out just on Spotify. Just Spotify. Trauma is a word, like we said, that not a lot of people necessarily want to associate with themselves, but you might be able to associate with chronic stress, and that can lead to muscle tension, difficulty sleeping, digestive issues, difficulty concentrating. And this is something that I've seen a lot over my career as a fitness trainer, as a massage therapist, people presenting with, even if we don't want to use the label trauma, chronic stress. And that has built up in the body. It's basically rewired the nervous system. So they're now in that fight or flight mode, Tracy, that we've spoken about a lot. You know, they're on high alert. There's cortisol elevated throughout the day because they're on high alert, could be job related. And exercise is a really powerful way to help reduce the cortisol, reconnect with the body, and start to lower your levels of stress. And it really can be transformative for people psychologically, and then therefore physically, to start moving.
Yeah.
Which is what you're saying, Tracy.
Yeah, exactly. And I'd like to add into that. So Obviously, some of the symptoms of stress and anxiety are quite similar. But what I was thinking as you were talking is how, if as an example, you've got your high cortisol levels, say you're very, very anxious, you can then have a further spike in a panic attack. Now, when a panic attack happens, it's like the equivalent of you seeing a saber-toothed tiger coming at you, licking its lips, you're my lunch, okay? And at that point, not only have you got cortisol, but you've got adrenaline pumping around your body at 90 miles an hour, or however fast it goes around your body, but it's in there. And in that moment, a really good way to end that panic attack is just to move physically, because if you think the purpose of the adrenaline in that situation would be to help you get your ass out of there and run like the wind, okay? Obviously, it could have been sparked off of something completely different. There's not many saber-toothed tigers lurking around here. So you don't necessarily need to run, but running away from the tiger in the past would have dispelled the adrenaline. So we don't want to just sit there and freeze with all this adrenaline pumping around us, because it makes us feel awful. So if you can start dancing around the kitchen, or having a little bit of a run or a play or something, just a little bit of physical activity, I don't know, I gesture a lot, don't I? It will help you physically disperse it, which is going to make you feel better.
I think that's really interesting. People used to, or maybe they still do, call it nervous energy, didn't they? Yeah. People said we've got so much nervous energy. And Tracy, you're absolutely right. And I have a tendency to get very stressed. And as we've discussed in previous episodes, much better now. But exercise really manages that. It's basically, I feel like I'm burning off that nervous energy.
Yeah, exactly.
Burning off the adrenaline and cortisol. By the time I've finished, it's dissipated. I mean, often it's just too exhausted to be worried anymore, but it doesn't really matter, does it, what the reason is?
No, exactly.
You are left feeling calmer. That's the point.
And even so, as we're on that note, I'm thinking back to the episode that we did with the lovely Alice, all about neurodiversities and ADHD, and she said that she has to incorporate physical activity, physical movement, because like so many neurodiverse people, they have their excess energy. They've got to get it out. And it's fighting that you have the problem. So you've got to say, yeah, I've got the energy. I don't necessarily need it. It's not necessarily warranted, but you've got to get rid of it. You can't fight it. You've got to dispel it. So it works for so many people in so many different ways. It's just a shame that our wiring and our mindset prevents us.
Absolutely. And I wanted to just come back to another reason. I've just got a little statistic here that 45% of UK adults exercise for the social connection. But of course, social connection is also going to help you feel better, isn't it? Because you go out and you meet potentially like-minded people because they're all doing the same exercise as you, and you form those bonds. And of course, that's really important for feeling less stressed, feeling calmer, feeling more grounded, feeling like you've got a purpose, having something to look forward to in your week. Which lots of people don't, do they?
No.
They think, oh, the week's just rolling on and on. I'm working. I'm in a hamster wheel.
Yeah.
Could be that one thing where you go and you're with those other people that are nothing to do with your work, nothing to do with your home life, and it takes you out of it. What were you going to say, Tracy?
Yeah, no, sorry, I was always interrupting. When I was doing my RTT training, one of the very first things that we were told was that humans, we're here for connection. Finding connection, avoiding rejection, they're like our soul's purpose. So that's why people enjoy it so much. And they don't necessarily know why. They think, oh, it's because I'm doing the running or I'm seeing so-and-so. But it's the connection. It's very, very important to everyone, and just as human beings, very, very beneficial.
So lots and lots of reasons, and we've only really haven't we, discussed them?
Yeah.
But the psychological benefits of movement, which are multifold. Only going to be benefits. There's no downside of that, is there?
No.
And if you add in a little thing of mine, some people will know, music to that, well, then you get even more benefits. And that's another podcast entirely, isn't it? The benefits of listening to music, because you will all know, most of you will know, that music has the power to change your mood, doesn't it?
100%.
It can make you sad, it can make you reflective, but it can also make you feel happy.
Yeah.
So if you combine happy music with your exercise, you get even more of a boost and some positivity.
100%.
So lots and lots of psychological reasons to exercise, and lots of exercise you can do. We'll come on to that more in a minute.
Yeah.
So let's go to the physical benefits, which we've touched on, but we all know. We want to obviously maintain or improve our heart health, don't we? Our cardiovascular health. So we need to move, we need to elevate the heart rate.
And that's particularly important for women our age.
Absolutely. So that's one thing.
Yeah.
Secondly, we want to maintain our muscle strength or improve it. So we definitely want to be loading our muscles, hopefully with more than body weight, so that we can do that. So let's call it weight training, but that doesn't mean you've got to go down the gym and get on a squat rack, but we just need to be challenging those muscles.
Yeah.
And then also our mobility and flexibility training for the aging and the active aging, so we can age well, we can still get on and off the floor. As I say, we can prevent those falls. So there's three sorts of facets, isn't there? There's the heart health, there's the muscles, and then there's the joints and muscles in terms of remaining flexible.
And don't forget, Jamie, bones.
And bones, absolutely. So especially again for women of a certain age, and again you want to be loading up the body with weight in order to protect and increase your bone density, which just decreases.
Now, interestingly, I'd like to pose a question to you.
You can pose it.
I was speaking to somebody else in a professional capacity, in a similar industry to you. I didn't know this, and I kind of want to discuss it-ish, but check it. Because I obviously trust your knowledge.
Okay. I have no idea what Tracy's going to say, viewers, and we're filming it, so I can't even Google it. So there we go.
That's jumping.
Yes.
It's the impact that spurs your bones on to make them stronger.
Right. So you're saying what jumping is in a jumping jack?
A jumping jack, or doing like jumping from, I don't know what you'd call it, like a long jump kind of thing. Just any kind of jump that meant that your body impacts, that impacts, that vibration helps the bones to grow, I suppose, and to strengthen.
Well, anything that puts stress on the bone will help make it stronger, whether that be you loading it up with a weight or doing the high impact. The only thing I would say with the high impact is it is something that you want to build up to gradually.
Yeah, which they did say that,
And I mean, it does put stress on the tendons and ligaments around the joints when you land with that impact.
Right, yeah. Because that was the only thing I was thinking. And I was like, this is quite interesting.
Yeah. You need to weigh it up.
Yeah.
I do high impact exercise. I've done it for a long time. I really enjoy it because I get that massive endorphin release when I do my, let's just blanket term, aerobics, like you say, jumping jacks and burpees and all the rest of it. Obviously, there's low impact options, but you just got to be mindful of that.
I've just had a light bulb moment, listeners and
Go on
viewers.
then.
I'm not sure if I should actually
verbalise it.
Admit this live. I never realised that was what high impact meant.
Oh,
I always thought that the high low impact meant how knackered it made
you meant intensity. Oh,
yes.
Let me just, viewers.
Oh my God.
Let me say, because this is great. So there we go. I've got something to say now. So yes, high impact. Your feet leave the floor.
Did not know
and
that.
Both feet at the same time. So you are, whether that be skipping or burpees, and you've got to jump at the end. Both feet leave the floor. High impact.
Right.
Low impact. One foot is always on the floor, so we're not jumping.
Okay. So I'm going to
high
pause
low,
you there.
high low.
No, I'm not going to pause you yet. I'm going to let you finish talking.
High intensity, low intensity.
Right.
Is how hard you're working.
Yeah.
So you could have low impact but high intensity.
But people don't tend to label the intensity, do they?
Well, they are starting to do that more now,
okay.
but no, the thing, when you describe a class, especially
Yeah.
like a fitness class, when you've got a limited amount of text, you want to give it a title and a little subheading. So sometimes it's not enough, is it, to put that in?
No.
But you often will see videos now, if you go and have a look on YouTube, people will say high intensity and then also give you the impact.
Well, there you go, listeners and viewers. I'm interested to know how many other people had light bulbs going off at the moment. And if you did, please drop us an email at wellbeingunwrapped@gmail.com.
Let us know.
Because I really want to know, even if you're all going to write in and go, no, Tracy, we already knew that. Just let me know, because seriously, my mind has just been blown by that. Although I am feeling a little bit dense. But
no, not at all.
I
feel great because, you've asked me a question, I've been able to answer it. I feel like my job is done on this podcast. We've delivered some information.
So, okay, let's get back to it.
Shall we just move on, Tracy, to a little question?
You want to have some questions?
I think we could have. Okay. I think we could just pop a little question. So, as you all know, if you've been on our podcast before, we do take questions, don't we, Tracy? And
we do. We actually
us.
really like to answer your questions on the podcast, because we don't want it to necessarily just be about us talking to you and giving you the information that we think is interesting or is important. So again, if you have any, please do drop us an email at
wellbeingunwrapped@gmail.com.
Perfect.
Right. Tracy's going to give us a little question from Sarah.
I am going to give you the
and this is going to lead us nicely into barriers to exercise.
Okay, so Sarah very kindly wrote in and said, I've tried various workouts but can't seem to stick with any. How can I find an exercise routine that I'll stick to long term?
Sarah, so this is a great question, and one that I've heard lots and lots of times. First thing to say is, it might be a really quick fix. You need to find something you enjoy, and that's why it's important. And Tracy and I said at the beginning, and this is for all of you watching or listening today, you've got to find something you enjoy. So lots of people get stuck and they think, well, it's got to either be running or it's got to be a local circuit class around the corner. Those are the only two things that I think constitute exercise.
Yeah.
Movement, because that's what we're talking about. It's so wide ranging. You can go and ride a horse. There's lots and lots of things you could do. So in most areas, there's tons of community classes. You've obviously now got a wide range of online options, not for everybody, but it is there. You've got all your team or group activities. You've got walking, you've got running, you've got indoor, you've got outdoor, you've got dance, you've got yoga, everything. So is there something that sparks your interest? Were you trying to force your square self into a round hole? Because that will never work. And that's the first thing. That might be a really, really quick fix. If that doesn't work, and I've seen lots of people for whom that doesn't, I just don't like any of it. Two things here. We need to firstly examine why you are not enjoying it. And I think that's really important. I think, Tracy, is a good time for you to jump in here. Examining the reasons why somebody might say, I didn't like netball, I didn't like circuits, I didn't like running, I didn't like swimming. We could go through 20 things and the person is still standing in front of us saying, I don't like it. There's a deeper reason for that.
Yeah, it's all mindset. It's all mindset.
Right.
You're feeling like you have to do something. And it often comes into our thoughts and the words we use. Oh, I've got to go play tennis. I actually quite enjoy tennis, but I've got to go play tennis, or I've got to go to that aerobics class, or I really should go to the gym. When we're using vocabulary like that, the message it sends to our brain is, this is a chore. I don't want to do it. I really want an excuse to get out of it. And our minds actually like to help us. So when you're constantly, I really should go in the gym, your brain's just like, you don't want to do that though. So just don't do it. You don't feel well today, or no, this and this is more important, and it will kind of switch your to-do list down. Just move that down the to-do list, because the ironing is more important. And a lot of people might go, the ironing is more important. But what we're here to say is you're what's important. The ironing needs doing, but what's the point in having nicely cleaned, ironed, pressed clothing when you haven't taken care of yourself and you're so unwell that you're in bed and you don't need to wear them? Now, obviously, that's a bit of extremes that I'm talking, Jamie, but it's how your mind works. So we have to kind of reframe things and sort of say, and do you know what I really love? I just want to throw in another book, which I know I've mentioned in pretty much every episode that we've done already, but it's a great book. So there's a book by John Gordon, and I think it was actually it was The Positive Dog, but it may also have been in his other one, The Energy Bus. Both great, highly recommend. He says, switch have to get to. So I get to go for a run, or I get to go for a walk, or I get to go play tennis because I'm able-bodied, because I have the time, because I have the money, right? Whatever the backing part of it is, I get to. And that will totally shift your mindset onto, this is something I want to. One other thing I will just chuck in there, another little reframe, is the power of the words choose to. When you choose to do something, again, you're saying to your mind, I'm choosing this. I'm in control. This is what I want. And it will 100% start helping you and backing you up. When you use the wrong language, you're going to get the wrong results. Over to you.
Sarah. So if it's not something you can quickly fix, as I say, by just trying another form of exercise, and then that's the easy fix. Tracy's hit the nail on the head there with the mindset and the words that you use. And I know Tracy and I had another discussion before we came on air. Your reason why, Sarah. See, people can know about all the health benefits, and generally people do. Government have massive campaigns about why we should all exercise, and yet that isn't enough.
No.
I can tell you about the psychological benefits, and that might swing you maybe a little bit more, but often that isn't enough. So you need to have your own reason, your own why. And often people will come to me and say, I want to drop a dress size. Generally, that isn't enough motivation to get them to stick to a consistent workout plan, to drop a dress size for a particular event. It needs to be a deeper reason, doesn't it, Tracy?
It does. You've got to really, really dig.
You've got to really dig.
It's another mindset thing.
It's another mindset thing. So why do you want to lose a dress size? What's that going to give you? Somebody might say, well, I'm single and I'm 34 and I think that's going to give me the confidence to put myself out there on the dating scene, which means I can find a lifelong partner, which means I can have a family. So when you start digging into that, you go, well, then that's your reason. It's not just about losing a dress size, is it? It's about the rest of your life. So, Sarah, my point being is if you can't easily find something that you enjoy, it might be that you just have to look for a deeper reason, find your deeper reason. And then, as Tracy said, change your words.
Yeah.
So I choose to do this because it's going to give me X, Y, Z. And I can promise you, all of you, that the hardest part, like the first 20 minutes of a class, the hardest part is getting started.
It is.
Once you get through that first third, it becomes easy. Once you're in that routine, Tracy, you'll back me up. It's so much easier to keep on going.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to lose the gains that you've made physically and mentally. You want to keep them going.
Exactly.
But you just need to get started. Be consistent. Results will come. So, Sarah, I hope that's helped you there.
Should we have another question?
Well, why not, Tracy?
We've got another couple.
Let's keep on going.
Okay, so just looking back at my notes. Right, so we've got one from James.
Okay, James.
So James has said, with a hectic work schedule and family commitments, I struggle to find time to exercise. Have you got any tips on integrating it into a busy life?
James, I certainly have. So we're talking about finding joy in movement. It doesn't have to be structured exercise. It can be activity outside of exercise. In other words, NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. that is still going to give you an energy burning effect for people that are wanting to lose weight, and it is still movement. So that's the first thing to say, and it's, you will have heard this before, taking the stairs instead of the lift. Can you get a standing desk? Can you march at your desk? Can you take more stairs in your house instead of thinking, I'll wait till I've got 5 cups to go downstairs to the kitchen, assuming your lounge is on the first floor? You know, take more steps, go up and down, up and down. So it's the exercise in your busy day, walking across the office. James, I don't think you mentioned whether you work from home or not, but either way, taking more steps in your work environment and around that is the first thing, because you're still moving, right? Other than that, James, can we find some time? So look, there's always going to be times, I do understand this, in people's lives where they've got to put nose to the grindstone, and they have to work. We might be in a position where I had 3 jobs once, working 3 jobs. There is no time to go to a class, right? So I get that, that for a short period of time, you might find yourself in that position. We always want to be striving to be in a position where we can create some free time, whether that's just to sit on the sofa or go to our class, because we don't want to be in a situation where we're working 16 hours of a day, do we, Tracy?
No, well, it's not healthy for you.
No, so let that be a separate thing. So James, let's assume you're not in a situation where you're having to work 3 jobs, because you say, I have a hectic work schedule and family commitments. Can you carve out some time, even once a week? There's always some juggling to do. It sounds like, James, you might have, you know, quite a skilled job, maybe in a position of responsibility. So if you manage to juggle your work calendar and manage other people, can you manage your own schedule and give yourself that half an hour, even just once a week? Then you can increase your NEAT, so you're still moving outside of exercise, and then you've got that half an hour. This is where, and again, it's not for everyone, but online is really great, isn't it? Because you strip out the time it takes to go to the gym, or travel to wherever you're going. You can just turn your laptop on, and you could do one-to-one coaching online, or you could just follow along with a YouTube video if you know what you're doing and you can find a really good instructor. That would definitely be something that you could just, it's half an hour and then you get it done. And hopefully as your children get older, you will be able to have some more time to elongate that. But that's what I would suggest, James, is looking at your NEAT, so we can keep that weight management in check. So that's movement outside of exercise, and then just start with half an hour a week. And the way to make that happen is to make it a priority, exactly like you would do with a work meeting. It's not something where you go, well, if I've got time, I'll do it. That will never happen. That will happen 1 time out of 10. It's got to happen. And then everybody knows that's daddy's time. Daddy's doing that half an hour. You're not going to be interrupted. You need to make that as important as your work meetings and get into that routine. That is what I suggest to everybody as a busy work schedule. Tracy, have you got anything to pick up on there?
Yeah, I've got a couple of things. First of all, I would absolutely 100% back what you just said there, Jamie, about it's a non-negotiable. And so many people struggle with that. It's like exercise is a, if I have time, it shouldn't be.
No.
What James, Sarah, everybody else who's watching and listening, what you have to remember is you are the most important person in your life. Okay, your kids, if you've got children, if you've got partners, husbands, wives, whatever it is, if you are not at your best, you're not there for them in your best capacity, and potentially you may not be there for them long term. Okay, now I know it's a bit of a sobering thought and I don't really want to go down the doom and gloom, but you've almost got to look at it as, if I don't take care of myself physically, mentally, emotionally, what happens to the people I love? Okay, so that's where it's got to be as important. I mean, ideally, if you ask me, I'd say it's more important than your job, but obviously you need to be paid to pay for your life, to put food on the table and everything else, but it's absolutely got to be up there with your top priorities. Okay, feeding, exercise, community, right? You've got to be, and your community can be your family, but it has to 100% be a top priority You have to schedule it in. Forget things like TV shows. Forget things like social media scrolls. I'm even going to let them, Jamie, forget listening to things like this. Although you could be listening while you're exercising, taking a walk. So not too many excuses there. So you have to put it as a priority. You wouldn't go to bed without brushing your teeth. So we're asking for half an hour. The other thing I was thinking, obviously, James, depending on the age of your children, there's things you can do with them. If they're at an age where they're moving around, you can run around, get them involved. As Jamie said, it doesn't have to be anything really structured. It doesn't have to be a class. It doesn't have to be lifting weights. Seriously, some toddlers are really heavy. You lift them up above your head like 5 or 6 times. They will love it, not straight after eating. They will love it. You've just done a little bit of resistance training.
Love that.
All right. So think outside the box until, as Jamie said, they're older, that you can then go, do you know what? This is daddy's time. But if you can do it, the other thing I was going to say is if you can do it, the earlier the better, because do you know what you're doing, James, and everyone else listening? You are teaching your children that it's really important to take care of your physical health. They will grow up knowing that, and they won't be in your position going, I really should be doing something and I can't fit it in. They will grow up knowing that's really important.
I love that, Tracy.
I've got goosebumps saying that.
And that leads me on to our first actionable tip.
Yes.
So the title is Finding Joy in Movement, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's lots of people, well, some people who may be able to exercise, but they don't enjoy it. It's a chore. However, they're disciplined and they can stick to it.
Yeah.
But we want people, don't we, to find joy in it. So if you are, listeners, viewers, if you are already exercising, but you don't enjoy it, or you aren't exercising and you want to find something that you do enjoy, my first tip is this. You've got to get a notebook and I want you to write down what movements bring you joy. What exercise brings you joy? Do you like walking? In the past, have you ever been for a walk and thought, this is making me feel happy? Write that down. Running, swimming, cycling, you get the picture. What movement have you done in your life that has brought you joy? And if it's dancing at the end of a night out, maybe you've had a few drinks, don't worry about that. Write it down. What brought you joy? Step 1 in finding joy in movement. You know what I'm going to say next?
No, I don't.
well, Tracy, it's quite simple. Whatever that is, you're going to go and do. So
It's too obvious for me.
If it was walking, then guess what? And you're currently doing swimming and you have no enjoyment of that whatsoever, then flip your exercise to walking. So first of all, find out, isolate what movement brings you joy. Second of all, start looking in, start contemplating about doing that particular movement. Dancing, yoga, stretching, finding joy in your own body, because there will be one movement you do that you enjoy.
Oh, absolutely.
There will be one movement you enjoy, but think out of the box there. Do you think you might enjoy strength training? Do you enjoy feeling strong in your body? Has that movement made you feel strong in the past when you've lifted something really heavy? If you thought, I feel really accomplished and strong moving these boxes for whoever you were moving them for, maybe yourself, see what I'm saying there? You've got to dig quite deep.
Yeah.
But we want to find the joy in that. So we can find some exercise that you enjoy and that brings you joy. Then you're more likely to stick with that. Actionable tip.
Good one to start with. So I'm actually just switching.
Yeah, you can switch.
I'm switching mine because it's kind of off the back of that. And I'm actually thinking about my own personal experience. When I first met Jamie, I was just a few days shy of hitting 40. And looking back, sounds bad, I don't know why or what drew me to taking her class, because it was so not me. It was so not like anything I'd ever done before. And it was so not like, if somebody said to me, make a list of things you enjoy doing, it would never have gone on my list, right? Everyone's wondering now, Jamie, what on earth was this class? It wasn't aerobics and it wasn't Pilates. It was a whole, I suppose, Jamie, you're probably better off explaining. It was a whole myriad of things.
Love to see how you explain it, though.
The main premise of it was like MMA boxing, really. And
it was.
I've always grown up with a sense of being, and I think this may have played into it, feeling quite weak and being quite small. I used to get picked on for everyone used to say, oh, you're anorexic and all this sort of stuff. We won't go into that, but because of that, I saw this, and I have to be honest with you, it scared the hell out of me. But I just thought to myself, wow, that will make me strong, won't it? People are not going to start calling me anorexic anymore for things like that. So the reason I'm telling you this is I went and I did the class, and I absolutely loved it. I cannot tell you how good it made me feel. I really can't. It's not because Jamie's sitting here listening to me. It was just an amazing. So I would like you to, as a seconds to what Jamie said, also look to opportunities in your local area, or even on YouTube if you're stuck for time, for something different. Don't judge it. Try it. Do one session. If it's no good, you know that that's no good for you, but you may just find something that you absolutely love, makes you feel incredible and strong and everything you're looking for. So yeah.
It just brought me to mind. I'm going to say this. Do you remember, Tracy, our the grappling night that I put on? And it was
I was petrified.
It was on a Friday night. I remember it was a Friday. I'm sure it was a Friday, but it was in the evening. And there was about 12, wasn't there? And we had a little flow, didn't we? And you were petrol, but you came.
I did.
I can't remember who your partner was. We won't say other people's names on there, but yes, and you did. It was 2 hours, I believe.
Yeah,
and we did the whole thing on the mats.
We did a couple, because we also did that with one of the senseis.
Well, we did, but the first one was the evening one.
Yeah,
we did
do it, and I'm going to be honest. I'm proud I did it. It wouldn't be something that I would sign up for again, because it it did scare me before. It felt good doing it, but it was one of those done and dusted, that's ticked off.
Yes.
Whereas the boxing was just like,
yeah, it was floor work, just to clarify for the viewers. That's what it was, wasn't it?
We were on floor work, and the kicking and the kneeing and the punching, and it's great for stress reduction.
But the floor work,
But so that was it. And I also I just want to recap over my reframing. My reframing tips, because I think they're really, really important. And I think, as you said, Jamie, lots of people realise the benefits, even if not all of them. They realise the benefits. They may even be in a position health-wise or mental health-wise where they know it's something they need to do, but they're just not finding the motivation. And we know what we think of the word motivation. Get rid of it. But they just can't bring themselves to do it or bring themselves to stick with it. So I'm kind of half recapping and half adding in my last tip, sorry. So just to recap, ditch have to, need to, should, and switch to get to, choose to. They're really, really powerful. It sounds a bit ridiculous, but trust me, try it and see what happens. And then off the back of that, we'll use the word motivation. Our motivation to do anything comes from our mind's desire to. Why have I got?
Tracy's got fireworks going off. Do you know what, viewers? I haven't touched anything.
Love that. I couldn't carry on talking through it. Okay, I'm not really sure where the fireworks came from. I think
neither of us were touching a thing there. That was so odd.
Anyway, I do think StreamYard really like what I was about to say.
Yes,
reframe it. So what I was trying to say is, the way our mind works, it likes to take us away from pain. Okay, any form of pain, right? Which is why the whole switching from have to is a pain. Chores are pains that you don't want to do it. Choose to is something good. Okay, so you're taking yourself away from something bad and you're going towards something good. So it kind of goes back onto when we were talking about digging deeper, Jamie. The whole purpose of digging deeper is to find find the emotion in it, find what's really, really important to you. And you can actually sit down and you can say, if I don't do X, Y, Z, what happens? Right? And your mind will automatically take you down a not so nice path. Okay. But that is fuel. You use that as fuel to push you forward. On the flip side, you can also, but I would 100% do the negative first. On the flip side is, if I do this, what happens? And that will paint a really nice picture in your head of what you're trying to achieve, how you're going to feel when you get there. Because the logic in exercise makes you feel good and it will make you stronger, fitter, healthier, will not outweigh the emotions of, I could end up leaving my family early, and that's just awful to think about. Or I could be around to see my grandchildren get married. The emotion behind that is like, whoa, how lovely would that be? So yeah, logic versus emotion. Emotion will always win. So use it to your advantage.
I think that's great. And I do think there's something to be said for, you know, it's not choosing a new, I don't know, TV, and you might compare two and you compare the pros and the cons. It's going a little bit deeper. And sometimes just having a list of, you know, pros and cons isn't enough, is it?
No, you have to dig deeper.
You have to dig deeper. And I remember once when I was much younger, and I'd met a boy and he was totally unsuitable, and I wrote a list of pros and cons, and there were, you know, many more cons, but I didn't listen and I went out with him anyway. And it was a disaster. Let me tell you that, it was a disaster. But what I should have done is gone deeper into the cons and attached the emotional reasons and taken it forward.
Yeah.
So what will happen? You know, a con.
Where's this going to lead me?
Yeah, he's always late to pick me up. Where will that go further down the line? Will lead to me feeling rejected and angry and frustrated? So what Tracy and I are saying here is, when you need to find your reason, you've got to go further than the I want to lose a dress size, or I don't want to go up a dress size. We've got to dig deeper, because often, as in my case, you know, that wasn't enough.
No.
And I just went with it anyway. So don't do that, is what we're saying. Tracy, is there anything else you want to say?
I have one final tip.
Oh, good. And then we'll consolidate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start small. If you're struggling, start small as you need.
Yeah.
But you do have to challenge yourself. Right? So if you're going from literally couch potato, don't do anything, and the thought of even a 20-minute walk once a week is too much, how can you condense that down to smaller, right? The ideal thing is to start really small, achieve it, because you will get a sense of pleasure out of it. You will get a sense of achievement. You will also boost your self-esteem, because you'll be like, I said I was going to do that and I did. Win, right? And that's really important in motivating us and pushing us. I did that. Whereas if you turn around and go, right, I am going to go and I'm going to do my 10,000 steps a day, when you fail, because you're going to begin with, you fail, and it says to your mind, you can't do these things. And your mind is going to start playing against you. It's also going to attack your self-esteem, because it's like, you don't ever do what you say you're going to do. And worse than that is, I'm not valuable enough. I don't consider myself valuable enough to put in the time, put in the effort. So please start small and then work up from there. But once you can consistently do that small thing, maybe it's 5 press-ups, even on your knees, right? If you can do that once a week, do it for a few weeks and then go, I smashed that. Then set yourself a new goal. Can you do it twice a week? Smash that goal. You're feeling good about yourself, and then build on it like a foundation. Just build on it.
I just think that's great, Tracy.
Okay.
So to summarise, guys, you know, you're listening to this episode and the title is Find Joy in Movement. So we can assume, can't we, Tracy, people are listening because they want to find joy in movement.
Yeah, they want to move more and they want to feel good about it.
It's a gift. I want to speak to you guys to be able to move your body.
Yeah,
it is a gift. And for so many of us, we live in our heads all day long. And our heads are just vehicles, aren't they, to move our bodies around from one
They're just computers.
Teams meeting to the other. I heard that on another podcast. I thought it was great. And we want to reconnect with our body. We want to move our body. You know the benefits of moving your body, physical and psychological. You've got a body. Use it. Use it. Use it. Use it.
Yeah.
So to condense our actionable tips, the first thing is to find your reason, find your why. Spend some time considering, why do you want to move? Give yourself a reason. Find that exercise that you enjoy. Write that down in the book. It could be something you haven't done since a child, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Find something that you really want to do. Plan it in. Make it a must. Start small. Nick Tracy's tip there. So start small, but plan it in. Don't be unrealistic. Another biggest reason that people don't succeed. And reframe. Use different language. You choose to move. Not you have to move, because I have to go to my exercise class. No, you choose to move. I promise you, the more you move, the better you will feel. You certainly won't feel any worse. So it's worth giving it a go.
Yeah.
Find joy in moving your body and enjoy the benefits of that, Tracy.
I think that's a perfect end to the perfect podcast yet again, Jamie.
So thank you all for joining us on our first ever video recording.
We managed it.
We did manage. I'm pretty sure we're going to put it out there, aren't we, Tracy? Like, there might be some glitches, but we're going to get it out there. So guys, if there is any, slowness in the vision or anything's happened while we've been recording, do forgive us. It is our first go, and we might try a couple of different platforms, but we wanted to bring you the faces behind the voices, and our tech will, I'm sure, upgrade and get better. So thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you on the next episode.
Yeah, thank you so much. And as we sort of said a few times during the episode, if you have any feedback, if you have any questions, anything at all, please do drop us an email at wellbeingunwrapped@gmail.com. And we're now on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram, Wellbeing Unwrapped. So come give us a follow, and tune in again to the next one. See you soon.
See you soon. Thank you for listening to Wellbeing Unwrapped. If you found this episode helpful today, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with anyone you think might benefit.
Yes, Jamie, the more reviews we get, the more people we can reach and help with our podcast.
And don't forget to reach out to us at wellbeingunwrapped@gmail.com with your feedback and any questions you may have for our next episode.